My daughter cut me off completely after the divorce, never once giving me a chance to share my side of the story. 8 years passed in silence, until one day she reached out, wanting her inheritance. I laughed bitterly and told her to unblock me first, then read the messages I had sent years ago. Hello, Reddit. My name is David Langston. I'm 56 now, but if you told me 8 years ago I'd be writing this, not for sympathy, not for closure, but just to finally unburden myself, I would have laughed in your face. I used to believe that time heals all wounds. It doesn't. Sometimes it just reveals who truly cared. 8 years ago, my life shattered in the harshest way. After over 2 decades of marriage, my wife Marlene and I split. She was 46, I was 48. Our daughter Emma was 20, just stepping into adulthood. But when the divorce came, Emma didn't hesitate. She chose sides, and mine wasn't hers. She blocked my number, refused to speak, and the last thing she said before cutting me out was, "Mom said everything I need to know about you." I tried everything. Calls, texts, emails. I even waited outside her college dorm for hours, hoping for a glimpse of her, hoping for a chance to talk. Security was called. The message was crystal clear. Stay away. The pain wasn't just the divorce itself. It was a sudden erasure of my daughter, the one person I thought would at least ask why. But she never did. No questions, no curiosity, no space for my truth. Just silence. The truth was Marlene had spun a perfect narrative. I was the absent, selfish husband, consumed by work, too distracted to care. Yes, I worked long hours in construction. I was the sole provider. Marlene stayed home, raising Emma. I was proud to give them a stable life. But when the fights came, Marlene had her stage and her story. I was the villain. No trial, no jury, just a verdict that haunted me for years. For 8 years, I carried that weight alone. I buried myself in work, cared for my mother as Alzheimer's slowly stole her from me. When she passed, the emptiness deepened. At her funeral, standing in that cold cemetery, it hit me. I had no one, no family, no daughter, no hand on my shoulder. Then, 2 months ago, my phone rang. A hesitant voice whispered, "Hi, Dad." It was Emma. I barely recognized her voice. Older, softer, more cautious. She'd seen a post about her grandmother's passing and wanted to check on me. I was stunned. I didn't even know she still cared to follow anything about my life. I thanked her and told her how much I missed her. She said she wanted to meet and talk. We agreed on dinner the next Saturday. I cleaned the house like a man preparing for a royal visit, cooked her favorite, shrimp Alfredo, and bought flowers, not for her, but for the dining table, like it needed proof I still had a life worth living. She arrived on time, and when I opened the door, it was as if time folded in on itself. She looked like Marlene, but flashes of the little girl I once carried on my shoulders peeked through. I choked back tears and held her tight. Dinner went okay. Awkward friends more than father and daughter, but I was grateful. And then I asked the question that had choked me for years. Why? Why never ask on my side? She looked down, voice barely above a whisper. I was scared. Mom said things, and I believed them. I didn't want to know better. She apologized, regret spilling from her words, shame heavy in her eyes. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe she was truly sorry. But something fell off. When I asked what brought her back now, the truth landed like a blow. She got engaged months ago. Money was tight. She'd been waiting for lawyers to contact her about Grandma's inheritance. When they didn't, she reached out to me. I held my breath, but showed nothing. She admitted feeling awful asking, but hoped I could help with the wedding expenses. The moment I dreamed of reuniting, hugging, being a father again, shattered, I realized I was just a wallet to her. I told her Grandma had changed her will long ago. The inheritance was mine, earmarked to start a small woodworking business. Out of my own pocket, I could offer a few thousand for the wedding. Her face fell, like a stone sinking in a still pond. "That's it?" she asked, disappointed. Her tone sharpened. "Grandma told me I'd inherit everything. I'm her only grandchild. You never visited her after divorce." I stayed calm. You're proving everything Mom said about me. She flared, You're being selfish. I came to reconnect and plan my future. No, I said firmly. You came to check if there was money waiting. Speechless, she stared. Then I hit her with a truth she couldn't dodge. If she hadn't blocked me all those years, she'd have my messages. The ones about Grandma's illness, invitations to say goodbye. Maybe then the promise would have held. What messages? She whispered. Unblock me, I said. She did. I forwarded every single one. The desperate pleas, updates on Grandma, the last invitation to say farewell. Silence filled the room. Then she said, I didn't know you wanted to know. We sat in heavy silence. I stood up and said, Emma, I don't hate you. I probably never could. But I don't trust you. And love without trust? That isn't love. She opened her mouth to speak, but I raised a hand. I spent 8 years mourning you while you were alive. I'm done mourning, done waiting, done being a father only when it's convenient. She left without another word, alone again in my quiet house, but finally, at last, at peace. 3 days later, an old number called, Marlene. I almost didn't answer. Her voice was cautious, almost fragile. Can we talk? I stayed silent. She said Emma came home upset and told her everything. I almost hung up, didn't want to hear her spin lies again, but something told me to listen. She admitted I'd offered Emma money, and she refused it. I scoffed, not quite. She hesitated, then confessed, I was angry. I painted you as the villain because I was bitter and scared of losing her. I weaponized Emma. I didn't think about the damage. I took a deep breath. Why now? Why call? Emma still believes she deserves something. Grandma's promise. Marlene asked me to fund a wedding for a fiancé who probably hasn't held a full-time job. I told her I offered money, more than deserved, but it wasn't about fairness. I wanted to see if any part of that little girl was left in Emma. There wasn't. I don't want money, Marlene said softly. I just want to know, do you hate her? No, I answered honestly. But I don't know her anymore. The woman I met last week didn't love me. She loved what I represented. A lost chance, a financial solution, a name on a check. I sighed. I'm done being needed only when it's convenient. That was the end. A letter came in the mail, no return address, just my name in familiar handwriting. Inside was a photo of 5-year-old Emma sitting on my shoulders, pigtails flying, grinning wide. A note read, I don't know how to fix what I broke. Maybe I never can. But you were the best dad I could have asked for, and I'm sorry I didn't realize it sooner. No mention of money. No talk of weddings. Just that. I placed the photo on my mantle. I didn't call her, not out of anger, not spite, but because I finally understood forgiveness doesn't always mean reunion. Sometimes walking away is the only way to heal.